Hey, everybody. Yeah, we're waving at you because guess what? The NetWORKcation, Newsworthy Stories, Bring Your Business to the Beach NetWORKation is this Thursday, January 29th at the Award Winning Wyndham Resort in Deerfield Beach. We have been talking about this for months now. And, one of the things for me is who's going to be in the room. And quite honestly, there are so many amazing people that are going to be in that room. Most of them, I would say probably all of them could be on the panel. But this way, I give you a little peek at some of the people who are going to be in the room. And I want each of them to introduce themselves. Some of them you've met, and then some of them you're just getting to know. And I think it's really important that you get to know them because they're offering something that 100% you need, or somebody who needs it. And so I'm just so excited to start us off with Alex, because Alex Pisani, I met him actually, Alex Pisani and Corlette Wave, Corlette DeVoe of Remember Two. They were on the same panel, and the two of them going back and forth with AI. So I'm going to kick you off, Alex, because I learned so much more about you after we met that day that my mind was blown. So give us a sneak peek of who you are, and a little bit of why you're such a great closer in the first place.
Sure, and thank you for having me on, Jackie. I'm excited for the event. My name is Alex Pisani. I was born and raised here in Miami, Florida. Parents from Peruvian, Cuban, Italian. That's why I have the Pisani last name. And then my journey started in sales as my first job. So just had a tough upbringing as a child. Was dropped out of school from my mother at an early age to help her out with income, and then had a fast food job, and then quickly just realized that sales was a better avenue for me. And my first job was actually selling magazines over the phone in a boiler room style type of environment. I'll never forget that. I learned a lot from that. I quickly then got myself into banking by the time I was 18. And I'm just trying to give you like a brief synopsis of my life. Moved up in
But you
banking
have to say the
from,
name of the company.
I worked for Bank of America, for Chase, for Citibank, and even Wells Fargo. And I started as a bank teller and worked my way up to becoming a bank manager, and then eventually AVP for business banking for Miami-Dade. For Bank of America, I oversaw 5 of their banking centers and worked with commercial bankers and also clients that did anywhere from 5 million and up in annual sales. So that was my professional life, and then being inspired by being around these business owners every day in and day out, and giving them advice on how to manage their own cash flow, and then seeing their stories of how they started their companies with their bare nails, and their stories of a comeback or something that just catastrophically happened and how they still overcame that. Really inspired me to just break free from becoming a banker, and even though I aspired to get to this position in that role, but figure out a way that I can find my own value in the market and have my own company out there. So that's when I began in my role. And it was really just sales. I was really good at managing teams and sales teams. And then eventually I got basically called to consult companies to help them build and basically scale their teams. One of my strengths was bilingual markets. And one of these numbers that really stood out to me, and a lot of people don't know this, but they did a study, and in the U.S. market alone, $4.1 trillion comes from just the Latino GDP. And if you were to basically rank that as a country, it would be considered the 5th largest country in the world by the amount of money that's being moved there. That's over almost $4.1 trillion, 60 million people here in the U.S. So what I realized is that there's a gap there because there's a huge population for that, right? But there's a lot of companies that still don't know how to basically reach out to that market and let them know that, hey, we can also support you. So one of the first instances that I noticed that in was in the alarm industry, and I got reached out to by a company that eventually sold for almost $2 billion by the name of Vivint. And Vivint, which if you don't know, they have a huge stadium in Utah where they're sponsoring basically the basketball team, the Utah Jazz. And I was reached out to by someone who offered me first almost like a manager position here in South Florida, where I kind of like overcame a lot of numbers that they already had. Typically, a manager was managing 5 people. In 1 week, I had over 45 people, and they were just like outstanded by what I was doing, to the point that I got flown in to even visit the CEO himself, which was Todd, and got to discuss how we can basically launch a new program. And shortly after that, the man was able to sell the company for over $2 billion. I wouldn't say the entire strategy was what we had talked about, but definitely I helped them build teams that were more bilingual and get into markets and penetrating markets that typically they weren't really successfully doing a good job in. From that point, I ended up working in solar companies. I got recommended to different types of solar industries because it was almost the same workaround. I was able to teach young entrepreneurs and young kids that wanted to make good commission how to overcome the fear of going to a stranger's house, knocking on the door, and giving them some value at that door. That's probably one of the hardest sales to do, in my opinion. And then even worse was that I was able to take that up a notch, not worse, but for the better, and then learn how to do it at an executive level by going warehouse to warehouse in corporate areas, and then also selling what would be called merchant services, so helping companies set up their credit card payments. I ended up becoming an expert at that. I built a portfolio, worked with a company for several years, and I realized that there was also a big need for that at a higher level, more like speaking with CFOs and COOs. And people just didn't really know how to make that level of communication unless you either knew the person through, networking and things like that. So what I started to realize is that I had a really strength there. I realized how to get the right softwares to find these executives' emails. And I started consulting this merchant company on how to get meetings with these larger executives. And within 3 months, I was able to lock them in meetings with AT&T, Airbnb, and some other large companies there. So that ended up.
I'm gonna jump in, Alex, because I want them to come see you. I want them to come understand.
We get all the way there.
Yeah, because there's an element even to what he's saying. You see the progression of where he's going. His company is called Elite Closure. Say it for me.
Elite Closure University.
Elite Closure University. And the fact of the way he closes, and there's an element to it in his business strategy that, man, I have not heard anyone do around here. Anyway, I've seen it somewhere else, and I'll tell you where, but you need to come and hear more about how Alex goes about doing this connecting with these corporations, but then he takes it to another step where, based on how they do business together and the percentage of the way he gets paid. Now that, I tell you, is something you're going to want to learn, and you're going to want to meet him in person to do it. Now, one of the things that you talked about, I know you and Corlette in particular talked about it together, because you guys did AI. When you were on the panel for the city of Deerfield Beach, as a matter of fact. Yes. You were talking about AI and how AI is changing, everything that we're doing. But Corlette is tackling that, particularly in healthcare. And so, Corlette, can you give us an idea of, you've been to the NetWORKcation before. Talk to us about, what people can expect a little bit, but tell us about your company, Remember To, as well.
Thank you so much. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be here this this afternoon. I will tell you that last year when I went to the NetWORKation, I was on the panel, and I met a lot of people there. And after the meeting, I actually had the opportunity to work with some of the people that I met with at the NetWORKation. One in particular is the city of Deerfield. We had Bernard was there, he was on the panel. And as a result of attending the NetWORKation, I was able to connect and have very productive meetings with the city of Deerfield and others from the NetWORKation. So if you haven't been to the NetWORKation, I would recommend going and attending. It is this Thursday. You will have an opportunity to meet people that are like-minded, people who are looking to partner with others to grow their business. That's what I love about going to the NetWORKation. I'm going again this year for that reason. My company is RM2.ai. We have developed an early warning platform. As Jacqueline mentioned, yes, we are in the healthcare space. We are trying to reduce hospitalization. We are trying to reduce the heart attacks and the strokes that happen. We have created and invented an early warning platform that is designed to predict health trends early, and we do that by integrating with our device. Our device monitors your vitals, pulls your vitals every 10 to 15 minutes. When we pull your vitals, we send it to our server that we have built, and we're able to analyze, and we're looking at trends to predict certain things. When we do that, then send automatic alerts to the family members when something is out of alignment. We also monitor falls. We remind folks to take the medication. We have Remy that also does wellness checks. Remy will speak to you and say, hey, you haven't moved today. Let's get up and go for a walk. Or did you drink water today? So this is all about health. This is about lifespan and health span. Because yes, we are living longer, but you don't want to live longer and have a horrible quality of life. That means you're bedridden, you can't go anywhere, and you're relying on people to take care of you 24/7. If we can avoid that and keep you alive longer, that will help you live long, but you also want to live well. So early warning is what's going to help with that, and that is what we've invented. We've invented Remember 2. Our RM2.ai platform will help predict health trends early, to prevent hospitalization, and also to help you live a better life. So hope to see you all on Thursday at the NetWORKcation.
So one of the reasons I do this and do the introduction before the introduction is because I need you to understand the NetWORKcation is about access, opportunities. So we're going to have people there, like here in the room, that you want to have access to. A lot of times they may speak somewhere, but you don't have access to them. You can't reach them. By the time you get to them, the place is closing the doors. And so the one thing about the NetWORKation is when we come in that room, it's not about long speeches or long talks. What we're doing is introducing you to these leaders, but we want to give you access to them so that you can actually network with them, that you can actually talk about your business, you can actually meet with them, and then learn the opportunities that each of you have so you can collaborate, because I'm a big collaborator. I don't think we take enough advantage of collaboration. And one of the ways that we collaborate is by being noticed. And so Eric Chafin, he helps us become noticed on one of the greatest platforms I think businesses need to be involved with, on a daily basis. My heart just drops when I say, hey, are you on LinkedIn? And they say, no, or no, I'm not active. And then I'm like, what are you doing? This is such a great opportunity because of the way businesses are using this. Eric Chafin, tell us what you do and how, who you are.
And Jackie, I just have to say that I just love your activity on LinkedIn. It is just contagious. So I love seeing you out there and everything you're doing. So kudos to you, and also putting this amazing NetWORKation together. I was at your last one in Deerfield, and what was pretty amazing, and I'll go into my business in a few minutes, but I hadn't been in Deerfield in that space probably in 2 decades. And you probably remember, I was so excited because I grew up surfing, and Alex, like you, originally from 305 and from Miami, born and raised, Miami Springs guy. So I don't know if that has anything for you, but born and raised and basically surfed all the time. And I remember going there, and it was such great weather. And after the whole meeting some really amazing people, folks that I hadn't seen in a long time as well. Actually got some business from that as well. That's the amazing part of this too, is
Did you hear that?
Being in the room with great people, but then also that translating into business is just tremendous, from that. So, but what's really awesome is I took some time and I hung out at the beach a little bit, took some photographs. I'm like, man, of course, here I am, old surfer guy, my surfboard's up in my area, my garage, and it's got a little dust on it because, having 3 kids and, being busy quite a bit, kind of hard to get into the water anymore. But anyway, I run actually a business called Trifecta. We help business owners and organizations with their LinkedIn and really basically finding the gaps in their profile optimization, and getting them in front of really the more perfect clients and referral sources. So you have basically the inbound portion of LinkedIn, which you guys know really well about, is that, creating that content, getting that draw of your audience to where, to you from a LinkedIn perspective. But also too, I specialize in the outbound portion of it. So I call it the active and the passive, right? So that active portion of it, Alex, you probably know this better than anybody, but I know everybody in here on the call is really good at what they do. But basically defining those perfect clients, those perfect referral sources, and strategically with my clients going through and seeing how we can get in front of them digitally, and of course, physically, and then helping them with their bottom line at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can already see that, I'm already plotting the dots, between Eric, Alex, as we go around the room here. But there's something about each of the people that are in that room that you can probably connect with, or they know somebody who needs to connect with you. And that's the importance of networking in general. Networking takes work. It's work. If you look at networking like any other, as just like, oh, that's a waste of my time, then you must be missing something. Because even in doing these networkations, I have actually found the value of being in person, that in-person networking, and actually building those relationships and locking arms and going to lunch and doing not just virtual meetings, but actually in-person meetings. And again, it's that access. And I really ask you guys to take advantage of the access in that room. Do not plan another meeting right after the networkation, because I know for at least an hour or so, people were networking as if, the volume was as loud as it was in the beginning, an hour afterwards. So I recommend that you give yourself a couple of hours. If you have to go and do something else, that's fine. But I would not set something up right after that, that 10 to 2 spot, because really it's designed for you to stay and work from the beach that day. It's actually designed for you to stay at the window and really contemplate, meditate, actually take that time to work on the things that maybe you've had too many interruptions and you haven't really had a chance to get to. So I have to tell you, I'm super, super thrilled because I just met Patricia Rain. And no offense, Carlette, she's like my new best friend. And, in many ways, because, massages are so dear to me. And, but Patricia Rain has a unique business that I've been wanting at the networkation since I started doing it. And that was a wellness aspect of it. Because really the networkations are about business and balance. So she likes to go by Rain. So I'm going to tell you that right now. So Rain, tell us about Traveling Aura and what do we need to know about it?
So first off, Jackie, thank you so much for creating this space for us to get in front of the community, to let them know why they need to be at the networkation. And this was a great segue, after what you just said, that the networkation is designed for everyone to stay afterwards, right? And allow that mental aspect to set in. And so that's where I come in. Jackie and I just met 2 days ago and we chatted, and she had the wonderful opportunity to stop by my station and get some massages. And so this is the perfect treat to the networkation, right? You're working, you're talking, you're tense. You probably have been on your computers all day. So you can stop by my station and get some massages. We'll be having neck and back massages. And so you'll have an opportunity to reset and relax. So I'm Rain, founder of Traveling Aura Mobile Spa, and we service the Tri-County, and we provide massages, nails, and facials. And we focus on groups and organizations. So think about your next networking event, right? Where you want to add another element to the participants that are attending. Think about it as such as like a wellness lounge, so to speak, right? When we attend events, we get so many things in order to, remember companies and organizations. So if you want to be memorable, adding some form of wellness to your trade shows and bringing us to help emphasize that in your brand really helps change that conversation. And so that's what we do. We don't just work with organizations, we work with hotels, condos, and we even do bridal related things. I've also had the wonderful pleasure of pampering Eric's wife as well before in the past. So we had some opportunity to work together. And that's why when I met Jackie this weekend, I was like, wow, some familiar faces. I definitely want to be in the room, need to be in the room. That's why we met 2 days ago and I'm part of the conversation now. So come on over, meet other business professionals, stop by my station for a moment to reset before you talk more business and see how we can implement these elements of wellness into your day-to-day. South Florida is shifting so much when we talk about business, and wellness is one of the conversations that, from what I've been hearing from Miami to West Palm Beach, South Florida is looking to change the face and conversation around wellness. So let's talk when you come to NetWORKcation. Stop by, say hello. I'm really excited about this call that there's other Florida natives here. I'm usually a unicorn. Everybody's from New York or everywhere else. So it was really amazing to be on this call and to see that there's other people from South Florida here as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you if we haven't met already, and see you on Thursday.
And so, Eric, do you know Rain from 6 Degrees Golf Networking Group as well?
It's interesting. There's many layers that we hit. That's just one of them. 6 Degrees is one, and Hollywood Chamber is another. I mean, it's really interesting how I'm seeing all the folks on this call, and I can go into a bunch of detail, Jackie, but she actually did some great stuff for our kids too. Another organization I was prior to where I'm at now, and so she's got a great heart for the community.
Awesome. See, I love that already. Giving each other, credibility for someone else. I love that, and that's the mindset. And even with Rich Rogers, right, of 6 Degrees Golf Networking, that go-giver mentality that he preaches on, and he will be there. He will be there. I just talked to him this morning. So it's that go-giver mentality, of the people in the room that seem to gravitate to the NetWORKation, and actually the difference makers that I get the opportunity to cover on a regular basis. They come in that room, not just taking, right? They come in that room and they're actually listening. They actually want to know what it is that you do. And they're really thinking, do I have somebody you can connect with? And they're putting your needs almost before their own. I love that, because it's going to reciprocate at the end of the day. So I am so excited for you to be in the room. Yay! Let's all wave to everyone.
Hey,
we're going to see you there.
Close out. Let me just say that I've known Eric for many years. Eric actually helped us set up our LinkedIn account. Eric helped us set up our RM2 LinkedIn account, putting up a banner, and also helping us do some promotions when we first started. So I will say that if you're out there and you need help with LinkedIn, you got to know Eric. We've used Eric. Check out our LinkedIn page. Eric helped us set it up, and Eric is phenomenal, and he's the king of LinkedIn. So,
and I was hearing his name all weekend. I was like, Eric Chafee. I'm like, okay, I need to call Eric. I haven't seen him in a while. So seeing him on this call, just again, he wasn't even in the room, and there were people talking about him this weekend at another event, saying what he had done for their LinkedIn and other companies. So shout out to you, Eric.
Well, I can tell you that everyone on this page here, somebody's going to be talking about you, especially after the Newsworthy story to the Beach NetWORKcation, because that's what we do. We promote each other, we talk about each other, but we really do love it. And we just invite you into the conversation if you can do business on that level. If you're like cranky, you can, we'll send you some love, But the people that come in that room, we're making a difference on top of what we do. And those are the kinds of people that I invite into that room. Because I always tell people, you don't have to do business with everybody. We're looking to do business with people who care, as I told John Little, which other people will meet. I told him, I said, when you speak, I feel the care. That's who I want in the room. I want people who feel the care to walk into that room, because that's the kind of people who are really going to take what we're doing and make an impact, not only for our own businesses and build wealth, because we got Alex on our side, and Alex is going to, teach us how to be more strategic, in our business deals. But we're going to be able to do this collectively. And I just love the way we work together. And so welcome, if this is your first time during the NetWORKcation, welcome. But we welcome those who have not been before. So see you there.
See you at NetWORKation Thursday.